What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday so far. Me, I'm having a decent Friday. It is roughly 1:11. I gotta make a wish, 111. But Erie, PA, which is where I go to school at, or Northwest Pennsylvania, got dumped with snow. I'm sure you guys have heard of the big storm front that moved basically the whole way across from like the Midwest of the country to the eastern side. And we just got, a lot of snow last night. Just got back from shoveling the driveway, which was really like at the end of our driveway because we live, it's our college campus is located like within the city. So city plows, like when they go by, they just like it rolls off and like kind of packs the mouth of our driveway up. Took us it didn't take us actually that long. It wasn't too bad, but it was some heavy snow. So we got back from doing that. Took a shower. We're actually going home here pretty soon. My girlfriend waiting on her to get out of class, and I'm gonna sit down and bust out some reviews for you guys today. So jumping right into it. The first review, I'm kind of gonna do a dual review or a double review. Normally I don't do it, but just to save on time, because I have a couple other videos I want to try to get filmed before we go home. And these are kind of like a package deal because they're both the same manufacturer and stuff like that, and I unboxed them together. So I figured, why not? But the first one is the Finch Harvester, and then the second one is the Finch Drifter. So these are the two newest finches that I got in. I got these in probably, try to get a better picture for the thumbnail. I got these in probably middle of November, so I've had these for a while. The review is very well overdue. But these are two really good models that Finch has come out with. Probably my favorite so far. Now these were sent by me, by Finch, Spencer. I reached out to them back when these were kind of being released, and I just, Spencer's been really good to me so far on the channel. All 5 Finch knives that I have in the collection have been sent to me from them. So I have to thank you, Spencer, so much. I really do appreciate it if you happen to be watching this video. I'll leave Finch's website and Instagram linked down below. Now, like I said, these come out probably, I don't know an exact time, but I feel like middle of November, somewhere in there. And as of right now, these are probably two of my two favorite Finch models, is what I guess I'm trying to say. I think they just had a release like last week or beginning of this week. It's the Lucky 13, the little sway back design that they have. I thought about reaching out and asking about, excuse me. My bad. I don't know what just happened there. But I thought about reaching out and asking them to check out one of those, but it seemed really small, and it just didn't seem like it would fit my hand very well. I think the blade was like 2.4, 2.5 inches, something like that, so pretty small. So I held off on that, but they definitely have some really cool models coming this year. If you go on their website, you can look at all the models they have now, but then the really cool feature is they have like an upcoming models page, and they have models like projected out, I think, to 2025. You can't see pictures of it yet, but it has like the name of it and stuff. But I think that there are 3 models that you can see pictures of that are upcoming in 2022. So definitely be on the lookout for those. Forget the names, but there's 2 of the 3 looks really appealing to me. But again, this is a review of the Drifter and of the Harvester. So we'll start with the Harvester. So this is rocking, jumping right into materials. This is rocking green micarta, sort of a polished micarta. A lot of Finch models, or some of the Finch models I've had so far, like this has more of a polished micarta, where the Drifter has more of a kind of textured micarta. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on camera. One thing that I did note, that right below the shield there, if I catch it in the right light, I don't know if you guys are going to pick that up on camera, but there's kind of a little mark. It doesn't really bother me. I just have noticed it's there. I believe Finch calls this their avocado green. And the Harvester also came out in a Coco Bolo, I think is how you pronounce that, wood. And then like a orange, like sunrise bone or wood or something like that. Kind of interesting. But if I were to buy one of these, green micarta would have been the one that I bought. So I lucked out that Spencer sent me this one. But you have the Finch logo there, kind of the crest that also has a loom in it. I do have a flashlight handy. We'll hit that right there. You guys can see it glows, which is really cool. Very unique to Finch. I really like how they did that, and it's just kind of a cool little Easter egg feature. But of course, you have the micarta up here to the stainless steel. It is a bolster lock. Typical Finch clip, but a little bit different. It's a little bit deeper, not deeper. It's a little bit longer than normal, and it kind of goes with the flow of the knife. So that's why it's a little bit different than the normal mill clips that I've seen on their knives and that I've had on a couple other ones. But opening it up, the big interesting part of this knife is I would believe everyone to think is the blade shape. It's kind of like this sheep's footy. I don't know. It's just very, very unique. Kind of reminds me of like a whale with the nail nick there. But right here it says Harvester 154 cm, which is what they use on pretty much every one of their models except for, I believe, the Cimarron is in 14C28N. There is the Finch name. And yeah, so just a very, if you know Finch, you know that this is very right up their alley with the micarta, with usually like the handle material down here, and then up here it is normally a stainless steel bolster lock. Looks really, really good. There is no skeletonizing or milling or anything. There is a little bit cut out here on the lock bar side, but it's just very, very minimal. You do have some backspacer standoffs right here. And yeah.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Siri's always trying to interrupt my videos. The grind is a flat grind. It's relatively thin behind the edge. The stock is, I'd say, kind of a medium stock, but it comes down to a nice edge. The edges on both this and the Drifter were really nicely done. Some of the Finches I've had in before, like the 1929, pretty much came dull. But the other two, the Cimarron and the Devil's Finger, had okay edges, but this and the Drifter definitely had the best of the two. Of course, this is a flipper knife, very typical kind of pyramid styling there on the flipper. And then again, you also have the nail nick, so you are able to reverse flick it, which is a really, really cool feature of this knife. I love that. But yeah, I don't think I'm missing out on anything else for materials. So we'll go right into action. I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker since I do have two knives to review, but we'll see. It's probably going to be at least a 20-minute video. Who am I getting? At least a 25-minute video. So action, again, has this very typical Finch pyramid style flipper. I really like it. It has jimping on both sides. I've never had an issue with slipping off of the flipper tabs that Finch makes. I believe these are made by, I know Finch either uses Best Tech or QSP, but I think QSP made both this and the Drifter from what I can remember. But right here, fires right out. Very snappy. The D10's, I think, nicely tuned on here. You can fail it. But you can see it's still locked into the, kind of got into the D10 ball ramp. I mean, it's very hard to. You can see I really tried to there, but it still locks into place to where it gets almost into, the whole way shut or open. So very well done. I really like how they tuned it. And they tuned it well enough to where you can use it for the flipper. And then you can also, like I said, with the nail nick, you can bang it out middle finger style. And it works so well either way. It's just probably the most fun to fidget with Finch that I've had in the collection. And now there are definitely some models that I haven't experienced from their line. I know some people have had the whole Finch's nest and stuff like that. But all the ones that I've had have had relatively good actions, but this just seems to be the best to fidget with because you can flip it, and then you can also middle finger flick it because the Drifter only has the flipper, the Cimarron only has the flipper, the Devil's Finger only has the flipper, and the 1929 only has the flipper. So this is the first one you can middle finger flick, and I think that's why I'm drawn to it a lot, just because it's a lot of fun to fidget with. Closing action, this is on bearings. I guess I forgot to mention that in the materials list. But a lot of times falls, hits my nail. Sometimes, if I'm not, like I did kind of cut myself there, if you guys can see that. Just a little bit in the corner. It will catch my cuticle. But sometimes I'll drop it to where the flipper tab hits my nail. And I'll just shake close. It's very smooth. I haven't taken this knife apart and oiled it or cleaned it up or anything. So this is right out of the box. It did break in a little bit, but from what I can remember, it was very, fidget friendly right away, which is really nice. So it was a little bit to get used to kind of, because most holes are kind of located up here somewhere. So this nail nick is definitely a little bit to get used to. But once I was able to get my nail dug in there, I mean, it would just bang right out. You can try to do it with your pointer finger. Yeah, not as comfortable. Try to do it pinky. I'm never good with the pinky. Oh, see, as I dropped the knife. Luckily, it stayed close. I'm not good with the pinky flicks. I'm not like coordinated enough to do that. But yeah, action's really good. Opening action, closing action, middle finger action, all around. Just, I think a huge, the knife in general is really, really well done, but the action is just really fun. It's fidgetable, and there's more ways than one to do it. And I think that's why, like I said, it draws me in so much. So next up is Ergos. Ergos are very good on this knife. The blade length, I think, is like I looked it up right before this. What is it? Like 2.98 inches, so 3-inch knife, which is, I prefer, 2.9 to like 3 1/4, somewhere in there. That's kind of like my sweet spot, which is weird because I'm a pretty big dude. I'm like 6'4", and I'm pretty tall, got decent sized hands. So you would think that I would prefer bigger knives, but I don't necessarily dislike bigger knives. I'm just not drawn to them like I am sometimes the smaller knives, if that makes sense. So this feels really good in my hand. I kind of can get locked right in there behind the flipper tab. Kind of have a natural restriction point. You can get all 4 fingers on there very easily. My pinky, it still gets good grip, but I'm starting to kind of hang on back here to the where it starts coming down. So it's not as great as my other fingers, but it's very comfortable. The pocket clip is, I mean, very, very close to the scale, so it's not going to be digging into my hand. It's not going to be, provide much of a hot spot. If you're really going to torque down and like squeeze the knife a lot, I can definitely feel it. But any normal use that I would do with my knives, it feels fine. So, and then you also have up here kind of this landing. It's kind of a flipper choil. That a lot of people have kind of dubbed Finch's choils as a flipper choil. Nice landing spot right there, and this is really comfortable too. You can get really, locked in. You can do a lot of precise cuts. It feels really good. The jimping up top and down below keeps you locked in very nicely. And if you're doing anything that you have to be really, careful with, precise, this thing will work very, very well. And that's another really awesome reason that I like this knife is just the blade shape's so unique. Like I said, it kind of looks like a whale, but it's basically a sheep's foot style blade. And it's just, it's basically all straight across right there, and it's just so usable. You got to cut labels, opening packages. This thing. Sorry about that, guys. I got a phone call. I had to take that real quick, so now we're back. But I believe I was talking about, if I can remember correctly, the blade shape and how usable it is. A lot of the times, I remember now. A lot of times when I have opened packages from Amazon, other, I really like opening, like my favorite packages to open are like the soft bubble mailers. And I just kind of put my finger up here and I can just rip through real quick. To me, that's super comfortable. You have this really nice, tip down here, really good for piercing. So, ergonomics mixed with the blade shape, just all around a really good user. Reverse draw cut, I believe is what this is called. This grip feels really good. If you're cutting through twine, rope, if you have to cut I remember I took this to work one day when I was at home over winter break, and I think we got a pallet in of for something, but they had like straps around it, like those like plastic, like if you guys have seen a pallet before, you know what I'm talking about. And I was using that to cut through it, or this to cut through it, and it just feels really good because the way the handle is shaped, it just kind of forms into your hand, and it just feels really good to pull back. Just all around, there's not a single grip with this knife that feels uncomfortable to me, in my opinion. Even if you have to use something like this, you kind of have like a landing point back here. If you had to, do gas station knife fights with Kevin on Friday nights, all around it's really good. So can't complain there. Finally, we're going to talk about Ergos. Ergos, we just talked about Ergos. We're going to talk about Carry. And Carry's good, guys. This is not, a super lightweight knife, but it's definitely not heavy either. There is no, milling or internal skeletonizing that they did. So that's not, necessarily helping it. But I think this knife has a good weight to it. Excuse me. I don't, some knives I'm like, why didn't they mill it out? Why didn't they give a little, some cutouts in there to help with the weight? But this isn't one of those cases. I think that this is a really, balanced knife. And for carry, like, you got the milled titanium paw clip right there. You know me, I much prefer loop over style deep carry clips, but this one works very, very well. Really, all of Finch's milled titanium paw clips work, very well. They have good retention. They're easy in and easy out of the pocket. This one, you probably have about that much sticking up out, which is not bad at all. Maybe a little bit more, but that's kind of where I could find my, straight across from with my finger. But I carry it right hand pocket with my phone. Now you will have the flipper down here with jimping on both sides, so you might be bound to catch your hand on that a few times, but definitely not a big deal. I've never had any issues with it, and it carries well, guys. You just toss it in there. You can't feel it. You just toss it in there and you kind of forget about it. So I think I've carried this maybe once in my back right pocket too. I think cause over December we had such weird weather here in PA. I was able to wear shorts a few times, and I think I stuck it back there because when I wear shorts, I carry knives in my back right pocket. But yeah, carries good on this guy. Just final category of price point and what I recommend this knife. Price point on the Harvesters are, I believe, $135. A lot of Finches fall between $119 or $120 to like $140, somewhere in that range. It's kind of their sweet spot. Would I recommend this knife? I can't talk right now. I'd absolutely recommend this knife, guys. This is my favorite Finch knife that I've had in the collection. And now that I've experienced it, if I'm being completely honest, when I reached out to Finch and Spencer and asked them if I could check these two out, I was more excited about the Drifter than the Harvester. And I still love the Drifter. That's going to be a very positive review too. We're going to get to that in a minute. But the Harvester has just really, kind of taken over my top spot for Finch that I have experienced so far. Just the action's so good. You can middle finger flick it, which is very different, very unique for a Finch model. The way the blade shape is modeled, you have all that straight edge of cutting length. Any grip's comfortable. Just like, I don't think there's a single thing on this knife that I can complain about. Like it's funky, it's different, it's unique, it's cool. I really have grown to really enjoy this knife. For a lot of reasons, guys. Like I just said, it carries well. I mean, Finch, you're always going to get good materials. You're always going to get, very adequate materials for the price that you're paying. I believe this is QSP quality, and they killed it on the action. Open, close. I missed that middle finger flick. Just all around. I mean, you even do this if you're so inclined. I love their bolster locks. Finch does a great bolster lock. Or QSP does a great bolster lock. But I do think, $135 I think is very worth it for this knife if you're in the market. If you're looking to maybe get your first Finch, I think this is a good starting point because it's a good impersonation of the whole company in general. Because every Finch knife that I've had so far has been really done, a really well made, really well done knife. And this is sort of the epitome of it, in my opinion. I'm sure other people aren't fans of this knife because maybe they think it looks weird. I've just really grown to love it, and I've really grown to appreciate it. And I don't know, guys. It's a cool knife. I'm really, really glad that I ended up getting it in from Spencer. And I was thinking the other day, I don't carry my Cimarron a lot, so I think that might be like a knife I include in like my 1,000 subscriber giveaway whenever I get there. And now that I have the Drifter in, it's kind of about the same size as 1929. I was maybe considering giving my 1929 away to one of my buddies. Because I don't carry them as much as I used to, especially with these two new models in. Like, most of the time, if I'm going to reach for a Finch, it's probably going to be this, just because it's cool, it's funky. It just makes me happy to carry, and I really, really enjoy it. So, cannot complain at all about the Harvester. It just is, I don't know, a really good knife. It really spoke to me, and I have just grown to love it tremendously. So, yeah, I would absolutely recommend this knife, and everything about it is good in my opinion. So, that, guys, is the Finch Harvester in Avocado Green Micarta. Great knife from Finch. One of their better models, in my opinion. Maybe their best. But like I said, other people might have different judgments than me. Other people might think differently than me. So take it with a grain of salt. But again, that's what knife YouTube is for. Everyone can have their different opinions, and everyone can enjoy knives differently. So jumping into the second knife on the review, this is the Finch Drifter, which has, you know, pretty much become my second favorite knife from Finch. This thing is just really cool. Similar to the Harvester, it's kind of quirky. As you guys can see, it is rocking blue micarta. I believe I don't have the box with me handy, but I believe they call this like a sapphire blue. I really like how it looks and how it came out. I believe the only other model that they did in the Drifter is a snakewood model. So again, I kind of lucked out because I wanted this one for the Drifter and I wanted that one for the Harvester. So Spencer really hooked me up with that one. But I really like also how they have a brass pivot collar right there. I think that adds kind of a pop of color to the knife. Again, a milled titanium pocket clip. Very Finch-esque, but kind of different at the same time. It's a little bit thicker than other knives or other pocket clips that I've had on their knives. Again, a flipper-only knife. This one doesn't have any way of middle finger flicking or anything like that. Drifter 154 cm. The Finch logo right there. Nice branding. And as you guys can see, this is kind of a little baby Bowie style blade, which is really cool. This is the only the only Bowie blade shape that I've ever experienced. I'm not a ginormous fan of them in general, but I think it works really well on this specific knife. It's just a nice, smaller, knife, easy to fit in the pocket, and I just think it adds, some character to the knife. I think it looks really, really cool how they kind of have that swedge built into the top there. It is a flat grind, nice and decently thin behind the edge. Again, the blade stock isn't ridiculously thin, but it's definitely not thick either. It's kind of in that medium, range. But it comes down to a decently thin edge. From what I can tell, I would say the Harvester is definitely a little bit thinner, but this has a good edge on it too. Definitely better than some other models that I've gotten, just like I explained in the first review. There is no milling on this either. Actually, there is a little bit, very, on the lock bar. It's the same spot as the Harvester. There's just like some, I think it's like a relief cut they made. But otherwise, no internal milling or anything like that. You have two standoffs right there, barrel spacers. You do have some jimping up here on top. And then you also have the Finch flipper choy right there with some jimping. I believe that's it for materials. Satin Blade, I think I forgot to mention that on the Harvester too, but that was a Satin Blade as well. And if you look closely, you can see, I'll wipe this off. You can see the grind lines, they're very fine, but the satin is a good finish. And then on the, up here where the Finch name is and where the Drifter name is, it's stonewash, I believe. Yeah, I think that's stonewash. That's really cool how they did that, but I don't think anything else for materials on bearings, just similar to the Harvester. And again, this has a loom in there as well, just like every Finch does. Again, a really cool Easter egg. I don't know of another company that does that. You do have the glow rhino knife that I've seen for a little while that has the like tritium insert in there. So that's kind of similar, but I don't know of another company that has like something as cool as this to where their actual logo has the loom in it. So that's really cool. Yeah, so I think that's it for materials. We'll jump into action. Again, this is not as pyramid-y as the the other flipper tab on the Drifter is more of a symmetrical pyramid. This one is leaning a little bit more to the front, so you kind of have more of a ramp back here. But again, jimped on both sides, very easy to get a grip and actuate. Very snappy action. Very, very good. That's what I really like about their smaller knives, similar to the 1929. It's just the D10 is tuned so well, and the action is just really, really snappy. This one is a liner lock. And yeah, so when you go to close it, hit your nail. shake it shut, very smooth. Sometimes if you go down deep enough on the liner lock, the blade will, or the flipper tab will swing through and the blade will hit your nail or cuticle sometimes. Just really smooth. Again, this blade is very lightweight. It's a smaller knife, so it's not going to be, as free swinging because there's not a whole lot of weight there to push it down. But yeah, action's good. It's very snappy, fun to fidget with. I mean, all Finches are fun to fidget with because they just have really snappy. I keep using that word snappy, but it has a good sound to it. Kind of just the wax out of there. Just really, really cool. So action's good, closing action's good. This knife is dead centered, as is the Harvester. I forgot to mention that. See, sometimes you just forget to talk about things, guys. Jumping into Ergos. Ergos are good. Again, this is a smaller knife, but I'm able to get up behind that flipper tab, and I can just barely fit 4 fingers on there. But it's really comfortable. It's a fairly, neutral handle shape. It's it's pretty much flat across here, and then it kind of stays the same, and it swells out to get a little bit fatter towards the rear end here. But very comfortable. I'm able to get a good grip on here. The jimping is kind of too far back to where my thumb lands, because when I'm in this grip, my thumb kind of lands up here in the Bowie shape if I'm going to be doing something with it or doing a cut like that. And then, of course, you have the flipper tab or flipper choil. You can choke up here. Also very comfortable. We get locked in with that jimping there, and you're able to do some really precise cuts. Again, the pocket clip does not stand out very proud at all of the scales, so you're not, you can feel it, but it's definitely much easier to not notice it as much as compared to some other knives. That's another good thing of Finch. All their pocket clips are pretty much mill titanium clips that are just pretty much flat to the knife, that you're not going to be getting too many hot spots from it. Again, if you really go to torque down on it, you can definitely feel it. But for everyday tasks, everyday situations, you're not going to be really noticing in that much. So, but yeah, I think that's it for Ergos. It's good. It's comfortable for being such a small knife. I believe the blade length on this is, I think it's like 2.75, somewhere in there. I don't know. I think I looked up the specs for both knives, but maybe I forgot about this one. So, jumping right into carry. This thing carries super, super well. Again, with that milled titanium clip, not a loop over style deep carry clip like I prefer, but you can pretty much put it down in your pocket about here. I've carried this knife a few times in my 5th pocket of my jeans, my coin pocket. I don't always carry like a primary and a secondary. I normally just carry one knife. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little froggy and I'd like to have 2 blades on me, I will use my coin pocket to carry one, and I've definitely tossed this in there because it's a small knife, guys. Fits really, really well. You do have that flipper tab here that you can catch on if you go to dig your hand down in your pocket, but that's not really much of an issue. Most of the times you'll just kind of bounce right off of it and come back up out of the pocket. But it's very lightweight. It's not very big at all. This thing kind of just disappears into the palm of my hand. You can still see it, but it's not a big knife. So any way you decide to carry this, front pocket, back pocket, coin pocket, any way you decide to carry it, it's going to be comfortable. It's going to be nice. It's going to be lightweight. It's going to be good. So, and I kind of piggybacking off the point of I don't always carry a primary and a secondary. A lot of times for the things I do with a knife, this can be definitely considered a secondary to a lot of people because it's so small. But in my opinion, I would carry this as a primary. If I only want to carry one knife and this is the one I pick, that's fine with me. I know there probably are some situations I could come across to where I would prefer to have a bigger knife. I would prefer to have a little bit more length in cutting and stuff like that, but I haven't really experienced that yet. And most tasks that I do involve opening packages, opening, do maybe some food prep, opening letters, doing a little bit of cardboard. Very, very simple tasks, and this has handled everything I've thrown at it quite well. So I don't know. That's a topic for a whole new day. Primary, secondary. What would you consider to be a good primary size and stuff like that? But I've definitely rocked this in the primary carry spot, and I've had no complaints. So jumping into what I recommend this knife and price point. This knife goes for $129.99, I believe. I just looked it up, and I would recommend this knife. I think this is a really well done knife by Finch. It's definitely, I keep saying unique. I keep saying, kind of funky, but a lot of Finch knives are kind of funky, and I really like that about them because they're truly not like any other knife company out there, and I really, really appreciate that, and I applaud them for doing that. But just, it's a really cool. I mean, you're getting a little Bowie shaped knife, really comfortable in hand. The micarta is really well done, has some good texture to it. 154 cm is very adequate for that price range. You're getting a nice snappy action, titanium clip, bronze pivot collars, just all around a really cool package. If you're looking for a smaller knife, or if you're also looking to get into your first Finch knife and you're not a fan of the Harvester, definitely give the Drifter a nice long look because it has a lot of good things going for it. If you're into classier stuff, like I said, this does come in like a snake wood model. I'm not personally into wood, but a lot of people are, so that would definitely be maybe something up one of your guys' alley. But yeah, so like I said, I will leave Finch's website and their Instagram link down below. I looked on the website, and a lot of their knives, you can't, like a lot of their specific models, you can't buy directly off the website. You have to look to their dealers. So just, if you're interested in one of these, just Google, Finch Drifter, Finch Harvester, and a lot of, the website should come up and stuff like that, because I'm sure there's some sites that I've never heard of that sell their knives. So just try that, probably your best bet. But yep, so this was my full review of the Finch Harvester and the Finch Drifter. Two awesome knives in Finch's lineup. Easily my two most favorite Finch knives. I really like the Devil's Finger too, but I think I like these a little bit more. So try to get a good picture here try to get one in the beginning, but it's tough to balance. There we go. Leave it on the camera for a few secs. Alrighty, guys. So Finch Drifter, whoop, the Finch Harvester, whoop, and the Finch Drifter. So thank you guys so much for watching my videos and just, constantly showing support. If you guys have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Maybe watch a few of my videos. If you happen to like what you see, a subscribe would mean a lot and it would go a long ways. I'm just over the $600 subscriber mark. Trying to push to 1,000. That's my ultimate goal. My original goal was 100 subs, and I've been doing this for, actually, I just realized it. Today is Friday, February the 4th, and I believe that this is the 1-year anniversary of me doing YouTube. I don't know why I didn't think of that, before jumping into the video, but if you've made it this far, just thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys have been awesome. The ones that constantly comment on videos or constantly interacting with me, I really greatly appreciate it. That's one of the best parts about doing YouTube, is just connecting with people and just seeing what people have to say and seeing what people have to think about. It's really fun, and I've really enjoyed it over my first year doing it. Doesn't feel like I've done it for a year, but it's been a blast. I've met so many good friends, so many cool people and stuff like that. So just a huge thank you to you guys. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, but if you haven't clicked subscribe, I really would appreciate that. I know I said it twice, so but I'm just joking. But yeah, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.